All right, today we're going to talk about art criticism. And so I want you to copy this down, write down art criticism at the top of your page, then write art criticism and aesthetic judgment. This next part is in white, so you don't have to copy this down. Oh, by the way, there's going to be a lot of notes today, but this is one of the wordiest PowerPoints that I'm going to give you guys, but that's okay. You can do it. Just think of it as getting ready for college, because in college you take a lot of notes. All right. A lot of people think that the word criticism means that you don't like something. And then while that's certainly true, but in art, the word criticism means that you are judging the successful and unsuccessful parts of a work of art. And art criticism can be fun. Art criticism is one of my favorite parts about art. I love talking about art. And so I use art criticism to discuss art with people. And when I think about a work of art, I go through the art criticism process, which I'm about to teach you guys today. All right, I do want you to write this down. This is a 4-step process. So if you want to take time to write it down, pause it. Otherwise, I am moving on. All right, next I want you to write down description and write it real big, because this is the first step. It's the first step of art criticism. All of this is in green, so I want you to copy all this down. It asks the question, what do I see? It's the easiest step of art criticism. And in this part, you only give the facts. The sky is blue. That's a fact. There's mountains in the background. That's a fact. Do not include opinions in this part of the criticism. And then give as many details as you have time for. I do want you to write this down. It's a little bit wordy, but it's important. Pretend that you're describing your artwork to a friend over the phone. Describe it so they can see with their mind what you see with your eyes. And I know in this day and age of cell phones, you could just take a picture and send it to them. But imagine that the camera on your phone is broken. But how would you describe it to a friend? Describe it so they can see with their mind what you see with your eyes. And I know in this day and age of cell phones having cameras on them, you can just easily take a picture of it, send it to a friend. But imagine that the camera app on your phone is busted for some reason, and you would describe it over the phone to them so they can imagine it. Okay, once you copy this down, then we'll move on. Okay, so let me describe this picture. All right, so this is a painting, and it is a painting of a woman and a child. And the child is sitting on the woman's lap. Both the woman and the child are looking down. Both the woman and the child have fair skin and dark hair. And the woman is wearing a dress that has stripes on it. The stripes look like they are white and lavender and green stripes. And they are vertical stripes that go down the dress. The child has her feet in a basin of water, and the basin is white with a pink rim around it. And the woman has one arm around the child, and the other arm or the hand is touching the foot. And in the lower right-hand corner, there's a pitcher, a white pitcher. It looks like a flower painted on it. In the background, it looks like there's a green wallpaper or maybe some green furniture that has a floral print on it. And then on the floor is a reddish carpet with green squares that has a floral print on it. All right, so what I have just done was describe the picture. So, as somebody who was not looking at the picture could easily imagine how I described it. Notice that I didn't say mother and daughter. All right, that's not a fact. We don't know that that's a mother and daughter. Well, and I'll come back to this in just in a couple more steps. But right now, you're just giving the facts. Yes, both the woman and the child have fair skin and dark hair, and they're in an intimate moment. But we're not giving opinions yet. All right, do you understand description? All right, I'm going to move on to analysis. So copy all of this down on this slide. Analysis is the second step of art criticism. It asks the question, how is the artwork organized? In this section, you discuss the composition of the work of art. WOA is shorthand for a work of art. You can abbreviate that. You're going to discuss the elements and the principles used in the artwork. And then, yes, I know this is wordy, but it's very important that you write it down. So go ahead and copy this down. Discuss how the artist used line, shape, form, space, color, value, texture, rhythm, movement, proportion, variety, emphasis, unity, and harmony. Now, you don't have to discuss all of those elements and principles, just the ones that apply. I'm going to move on. If you still need to copy down the notes, you can pause the video. So in this painting right here, let me talk about the composition of the work of art. There is a strong diagonal movement in this work of art, and that's done with the stripes on the woman's dress. And your eye kind of focuses on the two heads first. Then that's called contrast. When you have two things that are different from each other, it's called contrast. So the black hair and the fair skin, so it's black and white that are next to each other, creates a contrast. And so that's, typically the first thing that somebody would look at when looking at this painting is the area where the heads are, because that has contrast that attracts the eye. And then so if you're looking at this area here first, then the eye is the directional elements, the stripes that are in the dress, the lines cause the eye to go into the lower right-hand corner. And then the upward shape of this basin right here makes the eye go back into the composition. So it touches then on the feet, the arms, and back up here. And you just kind of do this kind of movement around here. This is a very well composed picture that way. All right. And also, hey, hi guys, how you doing? All right. The cleaning crew is in my classroom cleaning up, so I'm going to keep on talking. The other thing that is interesting about this picture is that it has like the greens in the background and the greens on the carpet, and then the reds on the carpet. Green and red are opposite colors on the color wheel. So that also creates a contrast in the picture. So there I have just discussed the composition of the picture. I talked about the directional element, which is line. I talked about the contrast of the light and the dark. And so those are the elements that to me stand out in this picture. I also discussed the contrast of colors that are also, so I talked about line and value and color in this composition. So that is analysis. That's the second step of art criticism. All right, I'm going to move on. I want everybody to copy this down. So write down interpretation. It's the third step of art criticism. It asks the question, what is the artist trying to say? And what is the meaning of the artwork? You will try to explain the meaning of the artwork in this step. And it's the most fun step of art criticism. You can be as creative or imaginative with your response as long as you back it up with the facts. And you ask the question, is there a deeper meaning behind the obvious one? Is there more to it than meets the eye? So I'm going to move on. If you need to spend time copying this down, go ahead and pause the video and then unpause when you're ready to listen to me interpret the painting. So I said earlier that it's a woman and a child. And I believe that this is a mother and daughter. And there's a couple of reasons. So like when you give an opinion, you have to back it up with the facts that are in the picture. So there's several reasons why I think this is a mother and a daughter. One reason is they look very similar. I mentioned before the pale skin and the dark hair. All right. So they look like they could be related. Another reason why I think it's a mother and a daughter is because of the activity that they're doing. The woman is bathing the child. And so that is a very typical thing for a mom to do of a kid of that age. Another thing that makes me think of that this is a mother and a daughter is by how gentle the woman is being. So it has like it's almost like a very loving kind of embrace that's right here. And if I could interject some things into this, like this reminds me of several things. Um, One thing is it reminds me of when my daughters were little, when they were like 3 or 4, the age of this girl right here. This would be a very similar scene in my house. My wife would be bathing the kids, not in a basin like this, but in the tub. And so when kids are little, they can't bathe themselves. So you would sit there and bathe them, wash them, and make sure that they're clean. So this reminds me of things that have happened in my house when my girls were smaller. Another thing that this makes me think of is like when I look at the facial expressions on the mother and the daughter, I would imagine that the story behind this is that the girl had a bad day at preschool. Some kids were bullying her, maybe, and she just had a big cry, and the mom is trying to make her feel better. And so the somber mood of this kind of lends itself to a storyline that might be something along like that. Have you heard now how interpretation is different than analysis and description? With description, I described it. With interpretation or with the analysis, I talked about the composition. And then with interpretation, I talk about my opinions of this and the story that might be behind it or the meaning that's in here. And the strong feeling that I get from this painting is love, a mother's love for a daughter. And that is the emotion that I see oozing out of this painting.